sometimes people accuse me of being a little bit, I don't know, like I cover kind of like irrelevant celebrity stuff. I'm very interested in anything that involves the sort of public outside the politics sphere normalization of trans people. It's one of the big reasons why, like, Mr. Beast's friend being trans, like, I'm very interested in how, because Mr. Beast, you know, whatever influence he has on YouTube, it's pretty cool that he has a visible trans friend that he defends against a lot of hate online. Totally manufactured hate, by the way. The reason the right wing goes after it's what's the name of Dylan? Not Dylan Mulvaney. Don't distract me, Orange August. I read a word, I say a word. Is it Chris, right, with a K? Yeah. Okay, I was thinking it was Chris, but you know, I feel like that would be easy to mistake as a dead name if I did forget, and I don't want you all getting mad at me. Anyway, like, the hatred against Chris is completely manufactured, right? Like, it's not people who are watching Mr. Beast's videos who hate her. It's like a bunch of blue check fascists on Twitter who hate her because they know that it's bad for their side that somebody as massive as Mr. Beast would be defending a trans friend, you know? To that end, I think they go by Eva now. Eva? I'll look later. But anyway, Finster, who is now a transgendered, in the least surprising coming out video of all time, as we all know, apparently the Times doxed him in an article to slander trans healthcare donations. So Finster apparently gave a donation, puberty blocker clinic. I mean, we'll read the article, but look at this. So this is the archive. Puberty blocker clinic accepted 20K pound donation from, quote, sugar daddy. Nice, Finster. Very funny. Gender GP, which privately prescribes hormone drugs to children, can skip the NHS ban on the drugs because it is private. That is how that law works, okay? Sugar daddy, who paid a male YouTuber thousands of pounds to... Let me start from the beginning of the sentence. A private clinic that has vowed to defy an NHS directive banning the prescription of puberty blockers to children. All right, let's start there, the Times. They're not vowing to defy an NHS directive if the directive only applies to the NHS. Am I not wrong on that? Is that not correct? Like, vowing to defy sounds kind of spooky sounding when right up here in the subheader, a private firm does not have this, like, the restrictions which apply to the NHS. Is the Times a turf rag? I mean, it's British media. Accepted a 20,000 pound donation from a, quote, sugar daddy who paid a male YouTuber thousands of pounds to behave like a submissive girl. Okay, I'll admit I'm a little bit taken aback by the opening to this, and I'm going to have to learn more as I scroll through. I'm sure this will be a very fair-minded and unbiased, coverage of this. Yeah, I'm a little confused. Let's figure it out. Okay, Gender GP, run by Dr. Helen Webberley, a GP from South Wales, has provided children as young as 9 with drugs that suppress puberty hormones following online consultations. Love the language again. As young as 9, they're puberty blockers. You apply them when puberty starts. Puberty blockers were applied to children as young as 9 if they had precocious puberty, the thing for which puberty blockers were originally used. That's how it works. Webberley said her company would not be following NHS guidelines. That's because NHS guidelines apply to the NHS, not to a private firm. That's why they're called NHS guidelines and not universal law. Issued last Tuesday, banning the prescription of puberty blockers after medical leaders concluded that there is not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness of the drugs. This is bullshit, by the way. I've covered this plenty of times before. The political pushback against puberty blockers in the NHS was just that, political. It did not come from a wave of doctors and research. It came from the Tories and their collaborators, I suppose, furthering and aggressively pushing for their ban for political reasons. It was the same in Sweden as well. We took a look at that, like a whole wave of anti-puberty blocker medical stuff happening across Europe was just a political pushback, not doctors. A loophole in the guidelines means puberty blockers can still be issued by private providers. That's not a loophole. If the NHS bans puberty blockers, that's a ban from the NHS. The NHS is a government entity. It's not a loophole. That's just how the law works. That's not a loophole. This is British media, folks. That's not how a loophole works. A loophole is when there's some oversight in the language, deliberate or otherwise, that allows some sneaky little trick. This is just a guideline for the NHS. Children who want to change gender will no longer be prescribed puberty blockers on the NHS. Nothing here says it's banned. Vaush, why are you semantics lawyering them? I'm not. They're lying. I just want to make it clear how obvious and transparent their lies are. British media hates trans people. It's just like how over here right-wing media had this like completely transparent and dishonest unified front against transgender people here in the United States. And then there were emails leaked that made it clear that they were literally coordinating it because there was no authentic journalistic intent. It was just an effort to fearmonger to prop up the right wing. And lately they've been leaning off it because it hasn't been working, and now they're shifting back into immigration. Like, it's just to be clear, I don't want this to be thought of as like the people writing this article have disagreements, or like there's a difference in opinion, or it's just bad phrasing. They're just lying. A loophole in the guidelines mean puberty blockers can still be issued by private providers. Campaigners have warned that children and parents could migrate from the NHS to online clinics running a, quote, Wild West operation. It's not a Wild West operation. They're just not susceptible to NHS guidelines. As a private company, Gender GP is financed through fees paid by the families of children wishing to change their gender and does not receive charitable donations or public funding. Yes, that is how private companies work. Look at how they're trying to make everything sound so sinister. As a private company, Gender GP makes its money by being paid by their clients. Really? Is that true? As an American, I've never heard of this before. A healthcare provider being funded privately. However, the clinic does accept donations for a fund it's set up to help those who are struggling to pay for their treatment. Okay. Among those who have given money to the fund is an anonymous American donor who gave $25,000 or 20,000 pounds as part of a joint donation with a British YouTuber who he paid to be his online sugar baby, the Times can reveal. Here's a quick question, guys. Of what relevance is this? Is there any actual journalistic relevance to this whatsoever, or is this just a way of basically pointing out, like, degeneracy, degeneracy, degeneracy? The donor, who goes by the pseudonym 10 Muses, gave F1NN5TER, a YouTuber from Birmingham with over 500,000 subscribers, thousands of pounds to undergo laser hair removal, wear an outfit with the words Daddy's Princess written on it, and sit in a child's chair when he disobeyed his commands. Is that a child's chair? Oh, that's the child's chair over here. That's the timeout corner. I see. So we're doing a little bit of Euler kink dono play. You're literally showing the docs, you idiot. Are you a frog? This article was linked by F1NN5TER. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. This cover-up operation from the publication from The Times. You know, oh, my bad. Are British people just learning what a Discord kitten is? Yeah, I suppose so. I bet a bunch of people in chat are really... Yeah, I really doxed F1NN5TER when I wrote this article for The Times. I bet a lot of people in chat are jealous at getting paid hundreds or thousands of dollars to wear the Daddy's Princess outfit, etc., etc. Would I do this for some amount of thousands of dollars? No, I wouldn't. I would do something equivalent to this, though, but it's not like feminization, right? What's a masculinization version of this? I would wear like a burly like flannel with my chest hair popping out, like a big V right here with all the chest hair. And then behind me, there'd be like a log of wood that I would split if I got a donation. And I'd be wearing like jean short cutoffs. You know what I mean? Split one log for every dono. Yeah. You know, I've never actually I've never actually chopped wood. I've always wanted to. And I've been in places where I could too. I go to like a farmhouse and I think like, oh, I'll do that this time. And then I forget and I leave. But I grew up in LA, you know, don't really need to chop wood in LA. I've always wanted to, though. It looks fun. It's not hard if you take your time. I bet it's like once you get the technique down, it's probably pretty satisfying. But until then, it's difficult. It's not really about strength, you know. If you ever want to win those carnival games where you get the big hammer and you hit the board and then it knocks the thing up and hits the bell, you know, the strength test. It's not a strength test. It has nothing to do with strength, or at least very little to do with strength. It's about the technique of the swing. And also, you guys want to know a secret? Those pieces of shit are lying to you. The people who do those strength tests tend to be guys trying to show off to girls or other guys. And when the guys go up, they give them the bigger hammer. Girls and children get the smaller hammer. Guys get the bigger hammer. Get the smaller hammer. The big hammer is too big. It interferes with the technique. You don't want to bring it down with your strength. You want to use the natural arc and weight of the hammerhead to accentuate the strength you add to the swing at the end of the swing. They give you a hammer that's too heavy. There's a reason why miners use that technique, or used, I guess, because it's not really done these days, with like pickaxes, you know? And it's the same with chopping wood with an axe. Yeah, you don't like strength your way all the way up and down. You know, bring it down and let it fall with the weight. too heavy skill issue. No, it's just too heavy. Like it doesn't work properly with the technique, you know? You need it to be sufficiently light so that you can use your strength effectively at the end of the swing arc. Anyway, just a bit of a technique. So if you want to win that shit and you're a guy, get the girl hammer. 10 Muses also offered him money to strip on camera and undergo breast implant surgery, both of which he denied. Wow, man, 10 Muses is whew, my goodness, you know? Hey, listen, I'm not doing any force femme shit here, but if there are any people watching who are very horny for me, okay, you should donate me hundreds of dollars to ask me if I'll strip on camera, to which I'll say no, but thank you for the money. You know, I'm just saying, you know, you could get a no from me. Like Jordan Peterson said, you have to train yourself in rejection. Finster, whose real name is Jude Howarth, thank you, The Times. 23, initially grew an online following by making videos about computer games. No, so was this entire article just an excuse to dox Finster? Because it seems like that's it. Like that literally, like this was a random donor. This donor also like donated to Finster. Here's Finster's name. That's crazy. The whole point here is just like degeneracy, you know? He began wearing female clothing after telling his followers he would do so if he received $1,000 in donations from them. Having previously described himself as a cross-dressing man, he announced this month he had started taking feminizing hormone therapy and that he uses both he and she pronouns. According to Howarth, his anonymous benefactor is a wealthy American businessman in his 40s who has previously worked as a doctor. You transition, you get doxxed. That's how it is. When Howarth told his followers last year he'd be donating $25K to a trans organization, 10 Muses matched the donation. That's a real ally. Neither the clinic nor Howarth responded to requests for comment. Requests for comment? For what? The donation was last year. What? Hey, do you want to comment on how 1 year ago you received a donation from a person who at the time was a cross-dresser? No? Dox. What the f? Bennett commented, you can suck my ass. I happily pledged the entire donation amount again, plus what was matched by my viewer at the time, and for the journalist that asked for my quote 3 hours before the article was released. 3 hours before the article was released. What pieces of shit? My official quote is suck my ass. Yeah, that seems fair. Absolutely disgusting. So is this not illegal in any way? I mean, I'm not an expert in UK law, but I don't believe it is. It really is revolting, though. Like, this is only being done as a form of reprisal for publicly transitioning. And I mean that sincerely. There's literally no reason for them to do this otherwise. It's just like, it's the same, because it's not like it's the first time this has happened, right? Like this happens all the time in right-wing media here in America with any kind of like public, you know, trans person or anything like that. It's pretty common, you know? Yeah, the goal here is to fuel the groomer narrative. Hey, did you know that donations were made by a person who cross-dresses and a person who is into cross-dressing as a kink, I assume, the Muses person, you know? Wow, did you know that people who have sex lives and have sexual interests and who cross-dress can give money to clinics that offer puberty blockers? Sounds like a degenerate organization to me, you know? It's what a moral failing. Just keep in mind, there's like this is just a fully like fascist borderline brown shirt shit, you know? We oppose trans people, therefore, how do we attack trans people? Well, I know what we can do. Let's just accuse them of being degenerates by associating them with perfectly normal. And by the way, Finster cross-dressing while being given money by a pay pig, I consider that normal. I don't give a I refuse to like cede ground to this Puritan bullshit like anybody would give a about this if they were just cisgender people. If there was just, it was a regular chick streamer on Twitch and somebody was like, hey, have $1,000 and wear this low-cut top, nobody would give a they would be like, oh, that guy's a coomer, haha, look at all that money he's dropping on that, you know, a big titty bitch or whatever. And the girl would just be thought of as, well, probably as like a whore or whatever, which has its own set of issues, but it certainly wouldn't be like a degeneracy thing. At the most, it would be booby girls are ruining Twitch for young men, but that's like a broader thing, not like the Times is going to dox you because you donated to a clinic, you know? It's sickening, really it is. Like it's genuinely vile.